Okay. So happy to have you here.
Same.
It's fine. All right. So hello everyone. Welcome to a conversation that is deeply foundational. We are here today to discuss how your existing skills in healthcare, in banking, in law, and what have you are the very blueprint of your next career, right? So this is the central promise of this discussion today. I am Tolulope Sanusi Oladuni, and I'm happy you are joining us today on this topic, accelerating your future, turning your foundational skills into a new career. Those things you learned in school, formal learning, informal learning, and all of that. How can you translate it into another source of income? It could be with your 9 to 5, or it could be you're pivoting into something else entirely. Now, for years, my mission has been to orchestrate systemic change. I know I'm in healthcare, shaping Africa's vaccine landscape, empowering professionals, and all of that. But today, I'm being joined by someone who embodies this philosophy of you don't have to stay in just one sector. You don't have to stay on just one, will I say, job, right? Or skill sets for life. You can translate it. You can transcend across sectors. You can go beyond healthcare, like we are known as, right? And she's Tolulope Sanusi, the founder of Rubyspolaroid. So let me give you a brief background. She's my sister, but I'm so happy to have her here. Now, she's a master architect. She got her first degree in architecture with a master's in architecture from University of Lagos, and she has successfully leveraged that her design expertise to reshape the world of architectural photography. She's going to tell us all about it. How photography and architecture, how, right? Her work has been featured in major global outlets like the Architectural Digest, Arc Daily, CNN, mention it, she's there. And she's actively redefining how the world sees architecture. It's not just to slap bricks and mortar together and then put up a structure. There are so many other intricate details that goes into a masterpiece, right? And just a few weeks ago, she was listed, right, in Arc Daily as one of the top 25 architectural photographers to watch out for worldwide. Let me blow your mind. She was the only one from Africa. So you can imagine. Now, I'm happy to have her here with us on Beyond Healthcare Mentorship Initiative, one of our webinar series for this year, 2025. So Tolulope Sanusi, you are welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Tolu, let's begin, right? We are all hungry to hear what happened. Let's begin with the foundation. You started as a trained architect, right? A path many see as really linear. It's not like healthcare where you can just jump from one point to the other with at least little or no certifications attached. But architecture is like mostly linear, right? So how did you view that training as a strategic blueprint for your photography career? What was the one foundational skill that you leveraged to transition from building design to visual storytelling? Because storytelling, that's where we are at right now. Storytelling. How did you do that? Please share the story with us.
So, so basically, like you said, architecture is very linear. There's just like very limited. Once you enter that pipeline, it's very straightforward. You're either an interior designer, you're a builder, you're an architect, or you are managing projects. So everybody has kind of the same skill set, and you meet all the same professionals in school because the faculty for architecture is all the professionals, the surveyors, the contractors. You all meet in school basically, so everybody knows everybody from school basically. So it's a very linear pipeline. You don't, there's no jumping out to the creatives per se, except you did it because, well, your parents said you should, and then you just found something else after. But I really like architecture, but then I discovered that what we are doing is just one part. Because whenever you're in school, you want to design, they'll tell you, oh, go and look for case studies. You won't find any Nigerian case studies. It's the only Nigerian case study you find are in the library where you have the books. Otherwise, online, maybe a few renders, nothing on. And I'm like, but we are here. We have been building for since independence. So where are the pictures of our own project? And it kind of, I was kind of bummed, but yeah, in school, what you just find the projects that are available that you can see, and most of the time it's always foreign projects. So after school, even throughout when I was doing my freelance, I was trying to get into a full architecture office. You know, you do your probation period, then you will now start going to site, start following the other professional architects to site to see, oh, this is what you're doing, this is how you do it, and stuff like that. And then you start a project, you end the project, and that's it. No documentation aside from your drawings, no evidence that you've done the project. So if you don't tell a client, oh, I did this project, they won't even know what's inside. They just okay, that building, or you did their office. That's all. There's no other proof aside from maybe your design drawings that you have the actual proof that you did the project. So it was kind of a bomb to me, like, okay, I've done this project, I finished it, no photos. This is like, so what's the evidence that I did the project? Except for the 3D renders. And you know, at some point, clients have this belief that if the 3D render, maybe the project wasn't so great or something like that. So to me, the next step was document how photos, not because people have, I noticed that they took take photos during construction when they are doing stage by stage evaluation. Okay, the contractor has gone to the stage, this is the next stage, this is what's going to be done next. But then the finished work, just a few snaps and that's it. It felt empty, like okay, we started this, finish it. So that's how I actually started because it happened to my a few of the projects. I'll just do them and then no photos, or I'll see the photos and they would look terrible because someone just use their phone in the dark and just take some photos of the space and just move on. So that is actually how. So I use that my background to translate. Okay, we need to have our own type of art gallery. We need to have records of what we are doing here in Lagos because you see nice buildings and you're like, there's no evidence online that this is there except for Google Maps. But then from Google Maps, you can't see what inside looks like. You can't see how the person designed. You can't. All that story was just missing. We had a few, but maybe like two or three, and then they are old projects, or they are from archives like maybe from the 60s when where colonizers brought their own architects and they had pictures. Can you imagine? The photos that we have
Yeah.
of the universities that we have here, UI, University of Benin, University of Ibadan, all the photos that we have are in the archives in Britain. They are not here.
Wow.
The irony, as in the irony of our own development and all the architects that they brought here took the photos back. So it's like we don't even care about our own environment. So that kind of really ticks me off. Like, so there's no evidence. You just design and it goes on. And then when the building is older, you can't see how it was in the glory days when it
Yeah.
was finished, when it was beautiful. So that's actually what took me like, okay, even if I start with my own projects, let me start taking photos. And then I
Yeah.
realized, oh, okay, there's this skill set I need to learn to take good architecture photos. You can't just take camera and just snap, snap, snap. It won't come out. What you envision will not, you will not see it.
Mm.
So that's where, so the my own base of being an architect is in translating that story of, I'm seeing it from the perspective of the designer,
Yeah.
the interior designer, the contractor, how are they telling that this is the effort they put into this building? These are the details. This is so you don't even need to step into the building. When you see the photos, you can see the effort and the craftsmanship and the time it took, the details. You see all that, and you have that forever. So
Wow.
whatever state the building is is not really your problem because you can't force the clients to do
True.
maintenance as much.
True.
So if you have those photos, you have that on your record forever. No one can take that from you. So you don't
Yeah.
just have just drawings. There's not a lot of people can interpret drawings, except you're a trained architect. Those lines don't mean anything to you. So it's better to have it in a form where even layman can appreciate that, oh, you did a good job. This is well done. They just see it from afar, but when they can relate to it, it tells,
Mm,
it's dropped in and they understand the value of what you're doing. Because if you
mm,
cannot show that value, then people will not be able to understand your charging, your rates, because people can tell, oh, why is one architect more expensive than
yeah.
the other? Forgetting the fact that there are some things that the other architect is doing that will make your building last longer than the other one that is maybe cheap skating at the back end where you as a relay person cannot tell. But the photos will tell that story. This person
Yeah.
is doing this job and doing it so well that you can see it. So that's
Yeah.
what motivated me to move into photography. Basically, it's the documentation and storytelling of the designs we do in Nigeria.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So basically, that was very insightful. Can you imagine? So all the pictures were taken back. We don't have any record, nothing whatsoever.
Yeah,
How did they do
yes,
that
there
to
was.
us?
Well, we didn't see the value in it, so you can't blame them.
Wow. Wow. Hello, Olaoluwa. Welcome to the webinar. So we've been discussing with Tolu thus far, and she has given us insight how she decided that she can't remain in core architecture. She needs to pivot to something else that at least is she's passionate about, right? So that was very powerful. That was a very powerful insight, Tolu. So you did not just pivot, you expanded your medium, and in so doing, you created a new market, right? So I attended one of your webinars a few weeks ago, right? And it was with Covenant University architectural students, and they were also enthusiastic about learning. So that means after 4 or 5 years in architecture, I can actually go into photography. Can I start with my phone? Do I need to get drones? Do I need to get expensive equipment now? So it spoke a lot about everything that you did, right? You were in 9 to 5, you cut your hours in half, and you built to the point where the salary you were, or rather the income you were getting from your photography was equal to or more than your 9 to 5, and that was when you moved. So now
Yes.
our next question is, so when you did all of this, and you're here in Nigeria, in a world where many feel confined by their current roles, what strategic actions did you take to turn this passion into a thriving enterprise? How did you identify the market gap? How did you decide to build a business around it? What were those things that you took to heart?
Okay. Creating a, you have to do your research. I knew that there was already a market for it because even though it's kind of new here, it's already established in the Americas, I mean North and South America, in Asia, in Europe. It was just that we are not joined that level yet. So it was like, okay, we need to bring awareness to the fact that we need to start documenting our, because you can't, if you want to, it's like give an example, like if you want to see a building abroad, you just need to type the name of the building, you see photos, interiors, exteriors. But if you do that here in Nigeria, we are just starting to do it now. You can't
Mm,
really explore the buildings and environments in Nigeria except you are here physically, which is a drawback. In this digital age, we need to have that. So I knew that there was already a thriving market for it, but not just here.
yeah,
So now the difficulty was getting people here understand the value of taking photos and documenting their projects. So that was more of the challenge. And obviously it will take time. That's why I gave myself time to develop it. But it was going to take time. Convincing people that do not see the reason why they should take photos or spend that extra money. People are always tight on budgets, obviously. So that was the point. If you are in a place in a industry that's already developing or developed, do your market research. The people that are already there, people that have gone ahead of you,
yeah,
how do they structure it? Even if it's little things here and there you can glean, it would help a lot. I already saw a structure I could use and then modify here from some photographers that are based in US and based in London. I just took their system and then modified how, because a lot of the photographers I follow that I use as like like mentors, so to speak, they are already established. They've been doing it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So they have their workshops, they have their little info seminars. You can follow them online. Some of them have doing YouTube channels where they go through some processes, and then from there you
Yeah,
glean how their structure is and how they are turning making it, because it's one thing to have a passion to take photos, but it's
true.
another thing to for it to be profitable and for you to be able to live off it. So all those you learn from following. Obviously, you have to be very specific or very strategic in looking for information of how do you convert your knowledge, how do you convert your passion, what are the stages, how do you deal with, how do you get new clients, how do you create your portfolio, how do you market yourself, all those things. You have to do some research. It takes time, so just give yourself that time, but you need to purposeful that way. You can't just assume, oh, I'm doing it, it's great, people are going to come and meet me. No, you have to go out, you have to meet people, you have to send your portfolio out, you have to tell people
Mm,
if it's in a situation similar to mine where people were not educated as to the value, then you
yeah,
have to add that to your skill set of how to convince people, show people the value of what you're doing, for them to say, okay, this is worth paying for. Because at the end of the day, that's how you make your money. People see the
yeah,
value of what you're doing. But if you are on your own and you don't go out and you don't show yourself, you don't market yourself, you don't go to the right places, nobody will know what you're doing. And then you can't
true,
turn it from a passion into a job.
true, true. And at that point, you might even have to take on some pro bonos just for that awareness.
Yes, some yeah, obviously with pro bonos, which is the tricky thing, you have to be strategic. Some pro bonos are not worth it, and some are definitely worth it. So that's where you now need to evaluate, because yes, it's in particular in Nigeria, people love pro bonos, but does the pro bono convert to future jobs? Is the question you need to ask yourself. If this is not going to convert to future jobs, I don't think you should do it. So that's another learning curve. Just how to decipher who is your client, who is not,
Yeah.
which pro bono is a good idea and which one is not.
Mm, true. You're right. You're right. Because some pro bonos are just, they will not be, they don't act as connectors to anything, right? They just want
Yes.
to take free service, and then they don't
And
refer you. Basically, the pro bonus is for refer me to someone that you know needs this service, and kind of do my mouthpiece marketer, right? That's what it is. It's an exchange. It's not like
but,
giving free work like that. They need to
but
actually
sometimes
make it, yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes the people that do that say, oh, they will connect you, they connect to people similar to them who don't want to pay as well. So
That's
yes,
another
you
level.
have to be careful.
That's another
They
level.
won't
Yeah.
do, they will be your mouth, they'll tell you, oh, maybe you should just pay them small. Actually, I pay them small. So that's the thing you have to be careful about. Pro bono is good, but if the person is connecting other people who like them, who feel they shouldn't pay much, then it's not worth
It's not worth it. Right. Okay. Now, Tolu. Um, as an entrepreneur who has built a brand from the ground up, what is your advice for someone who wants to translate their skills into a clear, compelling brand? Now, we are talking, even though you're an architect, architectural photographer, we are throwing it open now, right? We are bringing it down to bringing it home, not just in healthcare, because basically we have lawyers, we have bankers on the call, we have financiers, investors, but these skills that we say we have, your skills in as an architect is different from mine as a healthcare professional. These skills that we say we have, how can we translate it into a business? Do we sit down and start itemizing it? Okay, I spent 5 years in school. I must have learned something about money management. I must have learned something about discipline. I must have learned something about interpersonal skills. Do we start listing all those things and say, okay, how can I translate interpersonal skills to money? How can I translate this money management skill to something? How do we, where do we start from? Please just tell us first.
it. Okay. It starts from what you're interested in. Because if you're not interested in something, you will not pursue it long enough for it to be profitable. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I'll give myself an example. I like architecture. I have studied it. but I also like photography. Looking into it after school. So it was finding, okay, this is something I like, this is something I practice. What is the middle? What kind of jobs and creative endeavors are in the middle that combine those two? That is where you look basically. What are your skill sets? What are you interested in? How do you combine them together? So that's because I'm an architect and I love photography, obviously architecture photography. So how do you combine? There's always a middle point, a job description or a creative stuff, or there's always something in the middle of what you like and what you
Yeah.
find. So if I say, okay, the person is a lawyer now and the person is more into the digital space, the person can become what do you call it now, like an influencer representative, like a lawyer tool for an influencer, because influencers need to have marketers, they need to have people that are managing their
Yeah.
brand. You can also be a brand lawyer.
Yeah.
That's like another aspect in between. You are into that creative and influencer sphere, but you're a lawyer. So now you are doing the in between of that. So you always find what you're interested. What find you obviously you have what you've learned in school. Then find what you're interested in. And find the middle ground that combines the two. That's where you start from. And obviously, when you found it, go online, find out, is this a valid job description? Are people doing it already? What, how did they get paid? Was it? By the time you start going into that, you will find a lot of options for what you can do that have already you already have background knowledge in. Obviously, so you don't need to go extra schooling. Maybe you just need to add additional knowledge of the area that you want to focus on, and then you'll make it work that way.
Point. That was actually an insightful point. You can always there's always a middle ground, and you can always find some. Like me now, I love I love nature. I love planting. You could say, to make it very crude, I love farming, right? And I'm a pharmacist as well. So you can see how I also merge it. My experience or knowledge of pharmacy, I merged it with my love for nature, and that's how I came about the shea butter brand of Pharma Spectrum Care. So there's always a middle point, like you said. So I'm just buttressing your point. Now, Tolu, hey, there's a risk involved, right? Even when we are trying to say find the middle point, you can use your skills. There's a measure of risk involved, especially with bills to pay. A lot of things I need to consider, right? Now, you left a traditional career. This is a career that, although it's long hours, stressful, all of that, but if you are rightly plugged in, it could actually pay your bills on its own, right? You left that one for an entrepreneurial venture, not just not just any venture, a venture that was not even well known for that matter, a venture without structure, a venture without you. There was nobody you could look at and say, you as a Nigerian, I can see you told this part, I can see how you are earning the monies or getting the accolades. Nothing whatsoever. You just jumped the whole 9 yards into it. So there's risk involved. Like, if, like
Yeah.
someone that maybe is a banker or something, and the person loves food. The person has this Midas touch when it comes to catering, and the person is getting the 13th month salary, getting the Christmas bonuses, getting maybe stock options, and you're telling the person to leap into cooking, into catering, into the raw deal, and they're looking
Yeah.
at like, what are these ladies talking about? What are they talking about in this economy? What are you saying? So that risk involved, how do you or how do we mitigate that risk? Yes, there's a blueprint to taking on a calculated leap of faith. We can call it that in our professional lives. But at what point is it 60% risk? Is it 80% risk? Or is
Mm,
it from informed decisions? We need to make informed decisions and also have this safety net. Not that we burn the bridges or we we close the door and throw away with the key. But what do we do? How do we balance it out? Because a lot of people have these skills that I've spoken to my mentees. They have these things they can knit, they can take photographs, they can organize events. But healthcare is one side. All those side hustles is
other
another
thing.
side. How do they balance it out? And then how do they get to this point of, okay, I have built enough, let's say, reputation here. I am happy to pivot into what I really want, and I see myself doing this for the next 20 years. How do we mitigate the risk? And how do we know, okay, it is worth jumping into, even with, because they are the best example. There was no structure, there was nobody to look up to, at least within this cultural and environment context. How do we do?
There's
How do we do?
there's always risk. There's no let me not sugarcoat it. There's always a risk because if you are if you already have a 9 to 5, you have bills to pay, you have rent, you have people you send money to, you have things you want to buy, you have things you want to invest in. So now the question to you is, do you want to do your 9 to 5 for the rest of your life, or do you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to mix both? Because you can mix both. Some people have 9 to 5 and they have
Yeah.
a business on the side, but they've had to invest enough time in that business for the business to run smoothly side by side. So that's obviously that is not how they get their extra funding for the things they want to do and stuff, if things they want to invest in. So the thing I believe, because architecture is not a glamorous. It sounds glamorous, but it's not glamorous. The average architect salary is the bare minimum. Like if you are saying between bankers, nurses, doctors, even regular office guard, it's just the bare minimum. There's no The only people that really get paid well are either the business owners or those who are partners in business or something of that rank. Everybody is earning the base salary. To me, it's like, okay, do I keep staying in this 9 to 5, the regular salary, or do I take a chance to earn 10 times my regular salary? So to me, that was like, okay, yes, there's no structure, but there's a lot of risk. But the payoff to me, the way I saw it, was higher than the payoff of remaining in this 9 to 5. And that was at the period when I think it was 2017, when at least Nigeria was still under subsidy, so things were still cheaper. My salary then was 125,000. At the end of the day, when I paid for everything, I had maybe 20,000, 15,000 left. So to me, it was like, okay, this is not sustainable. Yes, you can cut back a bit, you can save a bit more, but how much can you save after 125,000? Now that was not a lot. If you do the equation, if you do the conversion, then I think that was about maybe um close to $100 and something similar to that. It was not a lot. It was not a lot. So to me, it was like, okay, do I take this risk now, jump out, and have a possibility to earn far more, or I stay here and just find a better job that pays me maybe 30,000 naira more, and I still have the same terrible hour. So now you have to. There's always a risk. You can't mitigate that risk. That's why I did the whole part-time thing. So okay, let me be earning, even if it's half my salary. Let me just be earning something to pay transport, you feed yourself a bit, buy one or two things, the usual bills, and then there's the bare minimum. And then my photography would I'll try and develop that on the side. That was the risk I took because I knew that I could not be. As I saw people ahead of me, people that stayed 10 years, they were earning. I was earning 125,000. They were earning 200,000 after 10 years. No, 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 you can't live a good life
No
like that.
fringe benefits, no perks.
No, no,
Really?
no, no.
In
So you
healthcare,
can't.
in healthcare as interns, we don't even collect 150.
In the architecture profession, Nigerians don't value soft skills. They see
Wow.
architects as soft skills. So it's paper. Until when it goes wrong on site, they now start running head and scatter. At that point, we can't help them anymore. You just have to. If you That's the problem with that's why I saw that the industry itself to me did not have except you are the one designing and building, there wasn't a lot to earn because Nigerians don't appreciate soft skills. So they just say, oh, you just design and give me a drawing, I'll give it to a contractor. They
Sorry,
rather
Tolu,
pay
sorry to cut you short. Nigerians so appreciate soft skills, right?
things
But
you
people
can
who have
see and touch.
soft skills, yeah, but people who have soft skills in catering, they are the boss and they get the chunk of the money if they own their own business.
Catering is physical. If you pay them, you see food. It's physical. If they cannot see and touch, because this okay, when they give you, pay you 700,000 for design for a 5 bedroom, and you give them paper. This is the design. That's what I mean. They can't visualize the importance of that paper, not knowing that that paper is the blueprint they give to their contractor. If their contractor doesn't read that paper well, the 20, 30 million they spent on that house will go down. So to me, it was like this industry is not even at the higher levels of the NIA, and there was still no advocacy for the appreciation. Because you have to advocate to this to people, let them understand the value. Even the body itself has been having internal struggles for decades. So to me, it's like okay, even if I enter into that's why I didn't bother doing the professional exam because there was a lot of legal battle between the two exam body and the actual body for since when I was in university. I graduated 5 years and they were still fighting. I was like, this industry is not for me. Even if the stakeholders, the people in the government, the people who are supposed to be ahead of the
Yeah,
bodies are
decision
fighting.
makers. Hmm.
Why am I here? If this is not profitable. So that's why there's a disconnect between us and Nigerians because the people who are supposed to be steering the ship of are not they are not doing their work right. So that's why I said okay, it's better I leave and do other things than stay inside. And so that's why I took that risk because to me it felt
Wow.
like even people ahead of me that have stayed, that have done the work are not being paid. What's to me that was I can suffer now for a bit and enjoy in future, or I can stay in my comfort zone and suffer in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
That was my experience. So to me it was a
Wow.
no-brainer. If
Wow.
understanding that, you can see that there was no point. It would have been dangerous for me to stay. And then that was then. Now with the current economic situation, people in my age group are still earning around 200,000. Yes, with the fact that the money has been devalued by half. So
So in effect, 100K.
in effect, 100,000.
It is economic.
So that comfort of staying 9 to 5 will have. I'll be in pains right now if I stay.
Wow. Wow.
So in hindsight, it made sense, but then it was very risky. But seeing
Yeah.
people ahead of me not even progressing well in the profession, it was discouraging. So that's what it prompted me to
Hmm.
just make that jump.
Yeah. Wow. So Eberechi just joined us. Eberechi really is, she's in healthcare and she's now doing her master's in public health, right? She's one of my mentees. And Eberechi, we've been talking about, even though Tolu is an architect, she took a risk. She jumped right in. And I know you had some questions about how you can apply public health into the things you love doing and all of that. So I'll be looking forward to your questions, right? I know you might need to have a bit of a catch up on this, but you just follow through and then you can always send in your questions even on this call. So right now, Tolu started as an architect and she jumped into architectural photography in a context, in an environment, in a country where there was no structure, there was nobody she could look up to and say, oh, this person from architecture went into architectural photography and is now making money, has a good reputation. There was nobody she could look up to. So it is applicable to us in healthcare as well. There are many things that we want to do. I know nurses who want to go into photography. I know pharmacists that want to go into catering. I know bankers that want to go into event planning. So many people want to do so many things. They don't want to be boxed in a corner with this healthcare of a thing, right? Life has moved on. And the more we evolve, the better we will be to outlasting whatever it is coming up, right? So one more question for Tolu before we throw it open. Now, Tolu, your work has become a statement. You've been CNN, Architectural Digest, Arc Daily, so many things, early decor, so many things that you've done. Economist. So your work has become a statement, reshaping global perception of African architecture, especially because you made us realize now that those edifices that was built back then in the 40s, 50s, 60s, there were no pictures. The pictures that they took went back with them. So there's no archive of pictures of how the structures were built from ground up. We don't have any of that. So that is what you are helping us capture in this time and age. Now, my question, I've seen your work everywhere, like I said. So what does it feel like to have your work to be a part of a larger narrative, right? So many people in healthcare now, so many things are happening. We have vaccines on one end, we have so many things. Even next week now, there's the United Nations Global Assembly, so many things going on, right? How do we ensure that even as we are pivoting to our side hustles, trying to make some more money, whether we're going to keep our 9 to 5 is another question entirely. We are trying to do so many other things. How do we ensure that we are not just in one of the numbers? We are not just ticking a box. How do we ensure that we are actually impacting lives, right? Either like now, beyond healthcare mentorship, sharing stories on how people have done it, like real life blueprints. That is one thing. How do we ensure that whatever it is we are pivoting into has impact? It is sustainable. It's not just a flash in the pan. How do we do that?
You do that, you have to be intentional about it. When you are going into it, what is your aim? So it starts from there. If you know where you're going to, you can build the steps to get there.
Yeah.
So you have to be intentional. Okay, if you feel that there's a gap, I need to fill that gap, and that gap is very important. That people are not even aware that that gap exists, or they are aware but they don't know that there's some people that fill in that gap or make or provide that service. Then you need to do both awareness, and also you have to be strategic about how you do your or how you serve people in that role so that they can feel the, just even if you're trying to make an impact, you have to start with one person. You start one person, one person, one person, and then it grows from there. So it's, yeah, yes, you want to make impact, but you have to understand what how your service is impacting yourself, your client, and then the general sphere of that industry that you are in. So it starts, you
Mm,
have to be intentional about it. How are you going to, even if the service, maybe the service exists, but there's a version that you want to bring in that would supersede what is currently on ground and is better off. So then how do you bring it into reality? How do you serve people that they would see the value of it? Because it's one thing to have a very good idea, one thing to have a very good plan, business layout. But when you are interacting with people, do they see the value of what you are doing? How
mm,
do you interact with people? You serving one, two, three people, then those people go out and say, oh, this person does this, and they do it even better than. So you are telling that story one person at a time, one person at a time, and that's how it grows. So you have to
mm.
be intentional about it. And if you need to do awareness, then you need to take on that every person that you're working with, every person you're serving, even
Yeah.
on social media, you have to make people aware that this service exists. This is what it plug in the industry that you see as important and people haven't gotten around to dealing with. So it starts
Yeah.
person by person, person by person. But you have to have that in the back of your mind when you start.
Mm. Yes, you're right. You're right. Thank you so much, Tolu. Thank you so, so much. Now, this is a truly powerful message. And some questions came in, and I just want us to answer them, right? Even as we come towards the end of the webinar. It has been a very insightful few minutes, and we are so happy to have you here. So just two questions, Tolu. The journey from hobby to a sustainable business is not always smooth, right? There could be major setbacks, challenges. People are asking you, are you sure? Are you actually sure this is what you want to do for the rest of your life? So what strategic lesson have you learned thus far? Right? It's one end to say, oh, I'm very passionate about photography. Oh, I found the sweet spot. Oh, I found the middle line. But when you are faced with challenges, what is that thing that keeps you going, right? That can be applied across industries, not just in architecture, but also in healthcare, banking, what have you.
You need to give yourself time. If you are trying something new,
Mm,
you can't just try it for like a few months and then give up. You have to give yourself time, a lot of time, and then be receptive to ideas, because you might have a set idea, but then it may not be working as well as you thought it would. So you have to be a bit
mm,
flexible. You have a goal in mind, but you have to be flexible about your execution.
mm,
Yes, okay, I have this very nice thing. This is how it should go, and you feel that this is how it should go, but then you get to the marketplace, and then the marketplace is asking for a slightly different version than what you envision. If it's still along the same lines, then you have to be flexible. That's one. And two, you have to give yourself time. You can't just jump into a scene and then expect everybody to know you immediately or everybody to pay you what you are worth immediately. It takes time, a year,
yeah,
2 years. So you can't just rush into it. That's so threefold. One, you can't rush into it. You have to actually plan what you are doing so that, yeah, your risk is a calculated risk. You're not just taking on undue risk. Because some people follow their passion, they get bumped and they jump back in. What did they lost time and they lost they were just it was just a futile. So plan how you are getting. You have to be strategic about it. Two, you have to give yourself time, a year or 2 years. Because if you are new into something, you need you need knowledge, you need to practice how you are doing, especially if you are in a fixed role. Being an entrepreneur means you have to be very flexible. So
yeah,
easing into that will take time. That's my advice. You have to just be patient, give yourself time, and be
yeah,
flexible with how you because what you envision and the market will mold how you execute. So you have to
mm.
be flexible for you to reach the extent that you envision.
Wow, that's true. You have to be flexible, and aside from giving yourself time, be patient with yourself. You cannot know it all, and you have to keep reinventing, right?
Yeah,
Like now we are on this webinar, and this is not the first that we've had this year, but we keep reinventing. At the point, I started with LinkedIn Live, and perhaps because that's where most of my, let's say, network is. It was good, but LinkedIn Live does not give you that luxury of recording. I moved from LinkedIn Live to Zoom. Zoom also has its own setbacks, and now I'm on Google Meet. So you keep reinventing and you keep doing all what you can, right? And one way or the other, you give value, because it's those same people that are listening to us now, or that you've come in contact with, or you did pro bono for, that will, even if it's not immediate, you might not see the effect immediately. It might be 6 months,
exactly.
1 year down, and they're like, oh, we saw that you did something, and so you told us about it, but perhaps there was no opportunity yet. Maybe they did not have a project that they wanted you to cover. So it can be 6 months, 1 year. So that's just me adding voice to yours, saying that aside from giving yourself time, be patient with yourself. Keep changing it. So long
Exactly.
as you are making informed decisions, keep changing what you have to offer. If some people take, for example, a caterer, if some people love jollof rice and you decide that, okay, you want to make yours with maybe sweet corn, or you want to make yours with maybe a herb, maybe moringa, maybe something interesting like zobo or something, just make sure that whatever it is you're offering, you have expertise backing it, you have patience backing it, and you also have good relationship with your clients, because those are the people that will actually sell the market, not just putting it, not just placing ads on Facebook or Google or Instagram.
Exactly.
People that
Exactly.
can actually say no. Apart from this ad that you are seeing, I have tested and I have seen that this is true. She's tried, she's
Yeah.
verified, she's, all of those things add up. Now the last question before we call it a day. I know you do not see mentors. There are no mentors per se, but I know you mentioned that you were closely following up with people in the US and in the UK to see and to create your own style out of all of this. Now, how important is it for professionals like us to build a supportive network when we are trying to do something new? Now, a supportive network, again, you have to be very careful because some naysayers and there's some discouragers among that supportive network, or rather among your network, not necessarily supportive. So how do we identify? Is it, I know people say, don't speak too much about what you are doing. Let whatever it is you are doing speak for itself at the end. Some people are that school of thought. Some other people are of the school of thought that if you have a good support system, you can tell them what you are doing and they can add voice, or they can advise you. You cannot know it all anyways, but they can advise you to say, okay, why don't you try it this way? Why don't you try it this way? And all of that. So what do you think? How important is it for us to build a supportive network around us when we are trying to pivot into something new or something not so new, but we want to get into it?
So that network, you have to start it from when you start thinking about branching out. So
Mm,
obviously you would have discussions with various people. Maybe you just chip
yeah,
in a little bit of, not the full thing, just chip in a side comment that, oh, maybe I would, it's not, maybe I would just branch and do this instead and see their reaction. Some people are receptive that I would like, no. Some people are actually like, okay, it's not a bad idea. Maybe you can do.
yeah,
So if it's in discussions with people, just chipping in one statement here or there, you're not giving them a full presentation of your business plan.
yeah.
Just making a statement that, oh, what do you think about this sector? What do you think about this service? It's something I'm thinking about doing it. Is it a good idea? Just one sentence.
Mm,
Asking that one sentence to gauge whether they are receptive to it or not. That's how you build a network.
mm,
Just that one sentence will now determine who is a good idea, who doesn't like the idea, who thinks it's not it, who is will support you, who thinks it's a good idea but doesn't think you should do it. You get various responses. So from there, you can now pick who you can now discuss further with
yeah.
and who you just end that conversation with and not speak about it again. So maybe when you have done it, say, oh, okay, actually, you went into it. Yes. So I think that that's a more subtle way of finding or fishing out. And then obviously not just people from around you, because people around you might not, they might encourage you, but they might not have that vision of where you are going.
Mm,
So obviously you have to now look out. People that have done something similar to you, even if they are not in the same country, because the people I followed, they are based in US, they're based in London, they're based in Barcelona, Spain, they are not anywhere near here. So obviously you follow them, follow their activities, if they have a social media presence, if they have a website, if they are active on other platforms, their work, follow them, see how they are doing. Even if you can't, you don't have an inside view. From what you can see outside, you can be able to glean a bit of how they progress from one stage, one step to obviously by the time you see their bibliography on Google or search how they move from school all the way up, you would see how the transition moved, their steps, and then you find someone whose path was similar to yours, and then you can use that.
yeah, yeah. Rightly said. Rightly said. So, um, as we come to the end of this webinar, a lot of things that I have learned basically. Number one that stuck most is give yourself time, be patient with yourself, and you keep reinventing as you move along, right? Understand your audience. What do they want? Your clients, your customers. What do they want, and what can you offer? What can you offer not just to add to the numerous options that they have in the market, but what makes you special? What makes you stand out? That's another thing. So this has been a very insightful discussion, Tolulope. I know you have so many things on your
Okay.
plate, and we are so happy to have you at the Beyond Healthcare Mentorship Initiative. Thank you for sharing this incredible story with us. And I don't know if you have a few words to say to the audience, just a word of encouragement, giving them thumbs up, or giving them any insight as they consider building more on their side hustles and increasing their sources of income.
So it's I just have one advice or something you can keep and think about. If you Are you happy with where you are, and where do you see yourself in 10 years? Sounds like a very cliche question, but if when I started working, I hated waking up early in the morning because if you're doing 9 to 5, you have to wake up by 6 or earlier, depending on how far away from work you are. Because you have to get to work by 9, not 9:30, or by 8, not 8:30. So I did not like the fact that I had to wake up early. So the entrepreneurship thing was, how do I make my work suit my life, not the other way around. So envision yourself. Are you happy where you are? Is this something you can do for the next 20 years? If not, is the next 20 years, is it that you are just surviving, or you are investing, growing, traveling, doing things that you want to do? Start from there. And then if your lifestyle doesn't, if your current job does not suit it, find a way to get on the right track. Because really, time waits for no one. Inflation waits for no one. The salary you think you're earning today, that is, you're just managing. Something will happen in the next 5 years, that salary will be half, literally half. So if you think about it like that, it's where you are, is it worth it? Is it not, is it maybe you should start thinking about building something on the side, that because even your 9 to 5, there's no guarantee. You can be fired tomorrow. So think about it. Is your life where you want to be? Is your job going to take you there? If it's going to take you there, hold on. If it's not going to take you to where you, then maybe start building something on the side. Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, sorry. So that was
Okay.
very insightful. Your job should fit your life, not your life trying to adjust to your job. That's very key. That's very key. That's
That's
one
what
takeaway.
motivated me to be an entrepreneur. I can set my hours. If I'm not available on a day, I'm not available. If I just want to be at home, I can just decide I'm not going to today. So yes.
Yes, yes. That's very key. Thank you so much, Tolu. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us
for
today.
bringing me.
And we hope that when next we call on you, you will jump on board. Thank you so much.
Gladly.
Yes, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Eberechi, I know Olaoluwa came in for a bit. Tosin, Tolu, everyone, for joining us today for the Architecture Your Future, turning your foundational skills into a new career. And now this conversation has been a masterclass, right? We are not talking theory here. This is Tolu, live and direct, someone that has practiced and is still practicing what we discussed, right? So we are so happy. And a full recording of this session will be on our YouTube page. I'll share it. Thank you so much, Eberechi. I know you said you're in transit, so feel free to send me questions and I'll be happy to answer it or forward it to Tolu and she will answer it. So thank you everyone again and have a great rest of the day. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Have a
Bye.
lovely day. Bye.